It was never meant to end like this. The courtroom was oppressive, weighed down. And there sat Kody Brown, the former self-assured head of a sprawling plural family, alone, not with wives at his side but with lawyers. This was the man who had once ruled over a household of 23. Now, on the other side of the aisle, two of his dearest allies, Robyn and Janelle, sat opposite him. The atmosphere between them was bitter, edged with deception, secrets, and broken oaths. Something that had started as a family founded on trust had disintegrated into one of reality television's most sensational custody and financial wars. You can construct a castle, but if it has a cracked foundation, someday it will come crashing down. Kody had once thought his family was that castle, kept intact by faith, tied together by vows, and fortified by obedience. To outsiders, it appeared to be idyllic, meals eaten together, kids raised with love, laughter wafting between four houses. But behind those walls, resentment fermented, bitterness brewed, and the very source that bound them together, trust, rotted. It did not begin loudly. A missed call, a forgotten birthday, but in extended families, tiny fissures widen fast, particularly where only one voice is permitted to call the shots. In the early days, Kody was everywhere. He rotated between homes, kept schedules in order, made sure the children were cared for, and led long family talks about faith and unity. But as the years passed, his focus shifted. The laughter in Janelle's home faded. Christine's smile dimmed. Mary's eyes stopped lighting up when he entered the room. And Robyn, she was always glowing, always chosen, always present. By the time the family relocated to Flagstaff, the scale had tipped precariously. Janelle, who had been propping up the finances with spreadsheets and sheer willpower for years, observed something disturbing. Kody's presence was dwindling, except where Robyn came in. "Kody, I need some assistance with the books this month," she reminded him. "I can't carry everything on my own." His reply was brusque. "Just call on Robyn. She knows what we require at the moment." That sentence resonated with her for weeks. Meanwhile, Robyn, devoted, supportive, fiercely guardian of her relationship with Kody, began recognizing her own red flags. Not in the relationship. If anything, Kody was more present with her than ever. But financially, things did not add up. "Someone help me understand. What's this $22,000 withdrawal for?" she asked. "Something for Coyote Pass development," he replied nonchalantly. "But it's out of our joint account. I didn't approve that." He would brush it aside with a kiss, a joke, an excuse. And every time, Robyn let it pass, until she could no longer do so. The straw came in the form of a long-scheduled family meeting. Coyote Pass, the 12-acre property that was to be the Brown family legacy. Each wife would have her share. The children would grow up constructing futures on it. Kody spread out the blueprints across the kitchen table, but on the title deed, only one name appeared, his. Not the Browns, not Robyn, not Janelle, just Kody W. Brown. Janelle's stomach dropped. "Why is your name the only one on the deed?" He winced. "For legal clarity, you're all in the family trust." Christine, who had already been withdrawn, shook her head and turned away. Mary remained quiet, lips clenched thin. But Robyn, she looked at Kody with something she hadn't known in years, doubt. "You didn't inform me that you filed for absolute ownership." He glanced away. That evening, Janelle lay awake. Her thoughts ran over all she had sacrificed, her kids going without, her funds invested in this vision of Coyote Pass, planning and budgeting and construction all these years. And now it belonged to him, stolen silently for himself. When she pulled out her papers, reality slapped her in the face. Months before, Kody had transferred money from the joint business account of their family into his own private LLC, his name only. That LLC was listed as the official buyer on the deed. And the ghost co-signer, Robyn, her name employed in secret. Janelle knew she could not battle this by herself. She needed Robyn. She grabbed the phone. "Let me show you something, just you and me. No cameras, no Kody." To her shock, Robyn consented. The two of them met the next morning at a modeled coffee shop outside Flagstaff. Janelle pulled out a manila folder, spilling bank records, wire transfers, LLC papers. Robyn's hands shook as she shuffled through them. "He signed with my name," she breathed. "Yes, and if we don't do anything, Coyote Pass is his own private kingdom, and we receive nothing." For the first time in years, Robyn did not leap to his defense. She did not weep. She did not beg. She raged. That rage kindled a spark no one expected, an alliance between Robyn and Janelle. They hired a private account examiner, burrowed through records of the family's Las Vegas holdings, traced the trail of withdrawals, and what they found was stunning. More than $300,000 sucked out of the family trust. Some went into renovating Robyn's house, some into Coyote Pass, and a big chunk vanished. Janelle, the planner, knew what to do next. "We take him to court." Robyn paused. "Do you honestly expect a judge to believe us? You were never legal wives. I'm the only one." Janelle didn't flinch. "He founded this empire on all of us. legal or not, he owes us. As rumors of the impending legal fight circulated within the family, emotions shattered like shards of glass. Mary stepped back, not wanting to get caught in the maelstrom. Christine, at a distance, texted Janelle a subdued yet supportive message. And the kids, they were divided. Some rallied around their father. Others begged for the truth. But nothing of it hindered what was already underway. Within a matter of weeks, Kody Brown had been served. The accusations were astonishing: financial fraud, exploitation of family resources, breach of marital trust. The man who had juggled plates of 4 marriages with smooth flair now faced the possibility of losing it all. This was not about money. This was about justice. This was about years of manipulation, bias, psychological games, and emotional abuse. This was about 2 women, long set against each other, finally standing together to protect their children, their legacies, and themselves. And this was merely the beginning, because once the thunder begins, there is no muzzling the storm. The court was on edge. Lawyers rustled papers. The clerk clicked at her computer, and in the middle sat Kody Brown, his lawyers sharp and corporate, his expression frozen somewhere between shock and defiance. Across the aisle, shoulder to shoulder, sat Janelle and Robyn, not enemies, not opponents, but together. Their expression was serene, but the flames in their eyes were saying more than their words ever could. It wasn't family drama anymore. It was war. The filing itself was all but ordinary, just another piece of legal paperwork in Coconino County, Arizona. Its name: Petition for Declaratory Relief and Financial Accountability in a Spiritual Marital Arrangement. First listed was Janelle's name, second was Robyn's. The respondent, Kody Brown. It wasn't a divorce. It wasn't the end. It was a call for clarity, accountability, and recompense for decades of sacrifice that had been washed away in silence. Robyn's appearance shocked the world. She had been Kody's favorite for years, the favorite one, his on- and off-camera shield, yet even she had finally cracked. The evidence their attorneys gathered was damning. Wire transfers, more than $300,000, funneled into an LLC under Kody's name, tax records showing family trust funds diverted into personal accounts, Coyote Pass deeds signed with only his name, and a forged digital signature using Robyn's emails to a Flagstaff real estate agent, casually stating, "We'll move the women off the title once the dust settles. It's easier this way." As she read those words aloud during discovery, Robyn wept. But then, she was furious. Outside, there was a media melee. Cameras popped, reporters yelled questions, and Sister Wives fans flooded Twitter with hashtags, Kody in court, Team Janelle, #Robyn speaks. Inside, the air was thick. Janelle's lawyer began, "Your Honor, this is not a case about faith or love. This is a case about money. These women created an empire based on the promise of togetherness. They invested their money, their time, their trust. And when it was no longer convenient for him, Kody Brown erased them." The judge leaned forward, intent on hearing. Then Robyn's lawyer stood. Robyn Brown was his lawful wife, but even she was cut out of decisions regarding the family's most lucrative property, Coyote Pass. "We have 42 pages of records and an 8-year digital paper trail." Kody's attorney rose, fuming. "This is an abridgment of my client's religious freedom. These marriages were religious, not legal. He had a perfect right to do as he pleased." The judge interrupted him. "Spiritual or not, this court will not turn a blind eye to financial wrongdoing. If these women gave labor, money, and trust, we need to explore if they were taken advantage of." Seated at the defense table, Kody sat stiff, arms folded, jaw clenched. He would not look Janelle in the eye. He hardly even looked at Robyn. To him, this was not accountability. It was betrayal. After all he felt he'd given up, the scrutiny, the limelight, the years spent keeping a plural family intact, this was his finale: court appearances and tabloid headlines. But what Kody could not see was that this wasn't betrayal. This was truth. Day 2/deeper. The spotlight moved from numbers to scars. Janelle took the stand, her voice calm but cutting. "I didn't raise kids, I raised a company. I paid taxes on property, ran family budgets, kept schools afloat. I sacrificed my life to this family, and when I asked where our money was going, I was told to let it go. To trust, I did. And now I need answers." Next came Robyn. Her voice trembled, but no tears were shed. "I was his lawful wife, but I was never his equal. He said I was his favorite, but all he needed was a woman who would not question him. I thought I was the exception. Now I see, I was just the last pawn." The courtroom fell silent. Kody appeared small for the first time. On the screen behind them, drone photos of Coyote Pass flashed to life. Every plot marked, Janelle's in development, Christine's untouched, Robyn's nearby, and dominating the middle, Kody's cabin. The kingdom he constructed now stood revealed. Coyote Pass was writing its own chapter. Kody's piece of property, completely fenced, permits in place, utilities connected. Robyn leaned in close to her lawyer, speaking in a whisper, I never approved that guest house. The judge arched an eyebrow. And who financed this building project? Kody's attorney stuttered, partial, private investment. But the auditor's testimony sliced through the room like a knife. The funds came directly from an account connected to the Brown family trust. Gifts from Janelle and Christine, a decade of sacrifices. It was a bombshell. With desperation, Kody's attorneys responded with a motion to dismiss. Their argument? Janelle was never lawfully married to Kody. Her gifts were voluntary. Furthermore, the family trust had been abandoned. The courtroom erupted. Janelle's lawyer jumped to his feet. If her labor was voluntary, then so was Kody's appropriating of her wages. You don't get to take a woman's money, her labor, her time, and label it a donation when it no longer benefits you. The judge concurred. Motion denied. But the day's worst moment arrived when sealed statements were opened, testimonies of Janelle's older children. One read aloud, My mom paid my tuition while Dad bought a mansion for Robyn. I saw her cry over not having enough for car repairs. And now, he wants to wipe her out of our family's future. The judge whirled around to Kody. Mr. Brown, you might have built a family, but that does not give you the right to steamroll it. Kody's jaw clenched, but deep inside, he felt something sliding away. Control. And when the children begin to speak, the empire starts its fall. The courtroom doors swung open. Walked in Savannah Brown, Janelle's youngest. The room shifted. Even the bailiff escorted her to the stand with gentle care, sensing the burden she bore. The room was heavy with silence. This was no longer about money. This was about wounds that fed on the balance sheets. Kody's eyes softened, a flash of tenderness for his daughter, but Savannah did not reciprocate the look. The judge leaned forward. Savannah, you do realize you are under oath. Yes, Your Honor. Her voice was soft, almost delicate at first. Growing up, I loved my dad. I didn't mind only seeing him every few days, that was just how our family worked. But when we moved to Flagstaff, everything changed. She looked at Kody, then aside. He quit coming by, not only for me but for my brothers as well. We'd call, we'd text. Sometimes we didn't even know where he was staying, but Mom always knew. He was with Robyn. The words hung in the air. Her hands shook as she continued. When I had my car repaired last year, Mom took money out of her retirement to get it fixed. And then I see photos of Dad and Robyn constructing a gazebo, $20,000 for their place. I felt like I didn't exist. Kody shifted uncomfortably. His lawyer breathed, don't react. But he couldn't stop. That is not true. I love all my children. Savannah finally turned to him. Then why didn't you attend my graduation? The room came to a standstill. No words were spoken. Even Robyn clamped her hand over her mouth. And Savannah's words hovered in the air like a bullet. More children came forward in the days that followed. One by one, Gabriel explained to the court how he once stood in front of his house for 4 hours with a birthday cake, waiting for his dad to show up. I was 17, playing like it didn't matter, but I watched the sun set from that porch. He never showed. The room grew quiet once more. Next up was Dayton, Robyn's oldest son, adopted by Kody. His tone was even, but his truth hurt deeply. I was thankful when Kody intervened. He provided me with a father when I never had one. But what I realized later, though, was that he ceased to treat my mom like a wife. She became an icon, the token of commitment, the reason for every choice he ever made, why he left the others, why he lied, why he manipulated the finances. And when she stood up to him, he shut her up too. The judge raised a brow. You're saying Robyn was used? Dayton nodded. Yes, as a shield. And then another twist. Janelle's attorney played a surprise video, a testimony from Christine's daughter, Isabel, recorded from her college dorm. When I got scoliosis surgery, she explained bluntly, I asked my dad to come. He said he couldn't, said he had things to take care of. I discovered later that he spent the entire week at Robyn's house. Not at work, not out of town, just evading. She looked straight at the camera. That's when I realized we were just pieces in his puzzle, and he only kept the ones that made him feel important. Kody sat stunned. His empire, the icon of the devoted patriarch, wasn't being torn apart by lawyers. It was falling apart through the words of his own children. And the worst part, everyone could see they weren't lying. Meanwhile, Robyn was coming undone as well. She held tissues, her shoulders trembling, her face in her hands, not due to the money, but because her kids were suffering, because her name, which was once equated with loyalty, now was being associated with abandonment. When Dayton's testimony concluded, she finally broke down. I need a recess, she whispered. The judge complied. And outside in the hallway, the breakdown continued. She wept against the courthouse wall, shoulders shaking, muttering to no one specifically, I didn't know it was this bad. As Janelle walked by, she hesitated. No smugness, no self-satisfaction, only sorrow. We all didn't know, she murmured. Not until it was too late. When court resumed, the judge made a surprising move. He summoned a family mediation panel, neutral child psychologists, and an economic mediator. His tone was heavy with years of law, but also with the seriousness of a father himself. This is no longer just about property, he said. This is a crisis of a generation, and if we don't fix the harm, both legal and emotional, this family might never heal. For the first time, Kody's defense team stumbled. The cool, confident demeanor crumbled. Their line of reasoning changed from denial to damage control. Your Honor, my client did the best he could with a big, non-traditional family. Things went wrong, but his motives were never sinister. But the testimony presented a different tale: emotional abandonment, financial manipulation, favoritism, and lack of presence. The judge's response was cutting as steel. Intentions don't excuse responsibility, not when 18 children bear the burden of those decisions. And then, Robyn testified again. This time she did not cry. She did not tremble. She spoke steady, her backbone firm. I believed in the dream for years. I thought Kody could take us there, and I glossed over the cracks. But now I see what it is. I empowered him. I allowed my loyalty to be a weapon, and I'm not going to do that again. The courtroom came to a standstill. I think this case, I think Janelle, and I think our kids. If it means standing up for the man I loved once, then fine. By the end of the week, the tale went big. Headlines blared across all channels. Brown family implodes in court. Sister wives unite against Kody. Robyn breaks her silence. But within the courthouse walls, something more profound had changed. Whatever judgment was about to be delivered, Kody Brown's legacy was no longer his to dictate. It belonged to the kids he once ignored, and the women he underestimated. Some betrayals, too, are so subtle, you don't realize until you're already wounded. And then, at last, the moment we had all been waiting for, Robyn Brown, the woman once depicted as Kody's sole love, the final loyalist in a crumbling empire, took the stand. The question was simple: would she stand by him or bring him down? Robyn moved forward slowly, shoulders set in navy blue, each step cautious. Her fingers pressed upon the Bible as she breathed softly. Yes, for once I do. Across the room, Kody watched with narrowed eyes, lips twitching as if to unleash words. But nothing did. Janelle's attorney leaned in. Mrs. Brown, when did you first notice issues with the family finances? Robyn swallowed, her voice measured. When we moved to Flagstaff. Little things at first. Receipts missing, bank reports that didn't match. I believed him. I thought maybe I just didn't have access to the new accounts. She opened a folder. Within color-coded spreadsheets, notarized documents, bank statements she never knew she had. He opened 3 of them in my name. I discovered when a collection agency asked me to pay for a storage unit I never leased. The courtroom gasped. He took my name, my credit, my silence. And I let him, because I believed he was keeping us safe. But what really was, he was already getting used to living without us. And then there was the center of it all, Coyote Pass. Robyn's tone hardened. He said the land titles would have to be in his name, due to convenience, due to taxes, due to permits. But that wasn't it. He wanted control. He wasn't constructing a house for us. He was constructing a retreat for him. She pushed one final document down the table. A true blue real estate blueprint, conceived in secrecy, for an exclusive executive home, secluded in the outermost reaches of Coyote Pass. Gasps once more, but what followed stunned even the judge. Your Honor, Robyn explained softly, I found a notarized will dated late 2023, and it rewrites everything. In that will, Kody Brown's reality came crashing into the light. All of his last assets, all of his properties, all of his dollars worth of trust funds, all left to Robyn and his biological kids. No sight of Janelle, no sight of Christine, no recognition of the other kids who had called him dad. Robyn's eyes seared into him. You said you loved all the children the same. You vowed this was still a family, just reorganized. But bit by bit, you were eliminating them, and you used my name to do it. For the first time, her voice shook. A confession escaped. I never wanted to be the favorite. I only wanted to be enough. But now I see he used me. He used my loyalty to protect himself. And in that loyalty, I lost my sister wives. I lost my stepchildren. And I almost lost the respect of my own kids because I stood by a man who never stood by us. The judge leaned forward. Mrs. Brown, are you telling me that Mr. Brown's behavior was manipulative, that it was financially coercive? Robyn didn't blink. Yes, Your Honor, I am. And then it happened, Kody snapped. He leapt to his feet, shaking. This is insane, Robyn, you're twisting everything. I gave you everything, I gave all of you everything. The gavel came down. Mr. Brown, sit down or face contempt. He did sit, but his anger seethed. Not the anger of an innocent man, but the shock of one who had been left by the person he believed would never leave him. For the first time, Robyn had left him for someone else. She had left him for the truth. Her words struck deeper as she shifted from money to the wounds left on hearts. I played peacemaker. I justified his temper, his vanishing acts, the favoritism. I reminded the others to be patient, to see the pressure that he was under. But behind closed doors, I knew. He no longer wanted a plural family. He wanted loyalty without obligation, praise without partnership. She paused, locking eyes with Janelle. I should have been on your side earlier, I'm sorry. Janelle didn't stir for a very long time. And then, with slow deliberation, she nodded. One last question came from the judge. Do you feel Mr. Brown misled you and the other wives, both financially and emotionally? Robyn took a deep breath. Yes, and do I think there needs to be accountability? Yes, not out of revenge, out of accountability. As she departed the stand, the courtroom remained in stunned quiet. No gasps, no points left to argue, only the reverberation of a family's breakdown. Headlines erupted outside. Robyn testifies, Kody lied, stole, and betrayed. Secret will shatters Brown family. Sister wives turn allies in court showdown. Social media erupted in wildfire. TikToks dubbed it, not reality TV anymore, this is justice. Reaction podcasts, breakdowns live-streamed, whispers of criminal charges, all revolving around one man's toppled empire. And within the courthouse walls, a new image was drawn in quiet. Robyn and Janelle emerged, not arm in arm, not beaming, but shoulder to shoulder. Women once divided, now standing together in truth. While Kody sat by himself, no children, no wives, no friends, just the empty echo of a dynasty falling apart. Because when the last gavel comes down, it isn't the ring of justice, it's the ring of a kingdom falling. The day of the verdict, the air within the courtroom did not merely hang there, it strangled. Cameras flooded the courthouse steps. Within, every breath was taut, every look intent. The final chapter would be written, not by the producers of reality television, but by the stroke of a judge's pen. At the center of it all sat Kody Brown, once the dashing, charismatic father of a family America saw every Sunday. Now he seemed small, shrunk by humiliation, by legal pressure, by the word of the children who once knew him as dad. Robyn and Janelle sat on the opposite side of him. Their faces weren't angry, they were determined. They hadn't come seeking revenge, they came seeking justice. At 9 a.m., the judge arrived, case file thick under his arm. He appeared tired, not from the law, but from the anguish exposed during weeks of testimony. Court is now in session. Brown versus Brown, financial misconduct, breach of fiduciary trust, and emotional negligence under civil codes. Everyone stood, everyone sat, and the room became silent. The judge cleared his throat. After reviewing testimony, financial records, and the emotional impact on dependents, I am ready to render my decision. The air froze, the ruling began. The court identifies unequivocal proof that Mr. Kody Brown deliberately mismanaged family finances and did not give transparency to the contributors, specifically Janelle Brown and Robyn Brown. All of the assets related to Coyote Pass will thus be dissolved from Mr. Brown's own LLC and given to an independent family trust. A shocked whisper ran through the room. Such trust will be monitored by a third-party financial administrator, co-supervised by Ms. Janelle Brown and Mrs. Robyn Brown. Kody's lawyer attempted to stand up, but was shooed back down. The hammer continued to drop. All properties constructed with communal funds, including the so-called executive residence, are placed on hold awaiting audits. In addition, restitution is ordered. Mr. Brown will reimburse $22,400 into the family trust, money diverted into unauthorized projects. Kody's face went pale. He leaned into his attorney, whispering wildly, but the decision wasn't complete. The judge's next sentence cut deeper than money ever had. Although emotional damages in civil cases are multifaceted, he started, this court recognizes the significant psychological impact Mr. Brown's behavior has had, particularly on his children. The decision was unequivocal. Kody Brown would need to fulfill a 12-month course of study in financial ethics and emotional literacy, with quarterly submissions returned to the court. Counseling would be offered to all members of the Brown family for the next 5 years, should they request it. Behind him, some of the older kids cried softly, for in reality, it had never been about money. Then the judge looked at Robyn and Janelle. His tone became gentle. Finally, this case is unlike any I have ever seen. Two women, once enemies, appeared before this court, not for revenge, not for personal enrichment, but to hold on to what little they had left of their family. Today you came split, but you depart as one. As the gavel hit, reporters charged towards the doors. But within that courtroom, a very different scene was unfolding. Kody cracked, Not with anger, not with defiance, but with a quiet, empty scream. Shaking in his shoulders, he buried his face in his hands, because this was not just a legal loss. This was the instant when he knew the losses no judge could ever give back. His children's trust, the harmony of his plural marriage, the legacy that he had thought rested on faith, but had been solidified instead with control, favoritism, and silence. Outside, microphones descended. Kody gave a brief, shaking declaration. "I never intended to cause harm. I thought I was doing what was best. I didn't know until it was too late." But to his wives, to his children, to the world observing, too late had been years ago. Robyn spoke next in her own words, her voice steady, tears in her eyes. "This wasn't about winning, it was about healing. I stood behind this case because I knew what silence was costing us. I just hope this ruling brings every child in our family back to feeling loved again." She didn't even say his name. Janelle's voice next, steady but even, the folder of papers, the very ones that ignited this case tight in her hands. "We dedicated our lives to something we believed in, but belief without integrity is manipulation. The downfall of a legacy, that is how the media spun it. Headlines flashed for days. Sister wives patriarch loses control of family estate in landmark case. Robyn and Janelle unite in historic victory. Hidden will, secret accounts. Kody ordered to pay thousands." Fan reaction exploded on the internet. Some wept, others felt vindicated, and one statement said it all. "This isn't about polygamy. It's about power, pain, and finally peace." The fate of the show hung in the air. TLC refused comment, although rumors of a documentary, the trial and its wake, started making the rounds. Gossip flew that Robyn and Janelle had even landed a dual book contract. But Kody, he vanished. No interviews, no cameras, a deafening silence. And somewhere, out on Coyote Pass, the land originally promised as a glistening family compound, the book closed in soft pictures. Janelle walking along the dirt with a clipboard, looking at new lots. Robyn talking quietly to contractors about a children's community center. And Kody standing at the perimeter of the property. No title, no authority, just a man who sees that though his name was on the deeds, his heart had left the family a very long time ago.